Hi, my name is Maddie Viladevall, and today I'm going to be talking to you and showing you how to do 5-star writing. And this is something that we use in my kindergarten classroom, and it just helps ensure that the students learn how to write correctly. And so this is the little rubric that we use with the students, and as you can tell, it says the first star is capital letter to start the sentence, punctuation to end the sentence, using finger spaces, using neat handwriting, and the very last one is my sentence makes sense. And so we just remind the students to look at this throughout their time writing. And so here we go. This is how I'm going to show you how we use this rubric. During our writing time, my mentor teacher and I go around and we conference with the students. And so as we're walking around, this is an example of what a student's work might look like. And so if I came over to the student and saw that this is what their sentence said, I would say, look at our rubric, and what is the first thing we do on our rubric? And they would say a capital letter. So then they would look back at their sentence and they would notice that, oh, I don't have a capital letter here starting my sentence. So that would remind them that they need to erase it and go back and change it to a capital sentence or capital letter at the beginning of their sentence. Now that we fixed our capital letter at the beginning of the sentence, the next thing on the rubric is punctuation to end my sentence. And so I would remind the student to look at the rubric, and they would know that the last thing that we have to have in a sentence to make it a sentence is some kind of punctuation, whether it be a period, an exclamation point, or a question mark. It needs something at the end to know that that's the end of a thought. And so this student, they might put a period just to know that it's the end of that thought, that my dog likes to play. Now that we have the first two components of our rubric down, the next one is using finger spaces. For us, this might be good enough spaces, but in kindergarten, we really want them to get that foundation of either 1 or 2 finger spaces down, or using a little popsicle stick with a spaceman. And so I would remind the student to go back through and add a little bit more spacing through in between their words to show that it's not all just one big word and it's actually several words coming together to form a sentence. Okay, so this is what our new sentence might look like. A little bit bigger spaces in between words, just so it's easier for you to read as the teacher, and if it's going out in the hallway for whoever sees it out in the hallway to read. And so the second to last thing on our rubric would be to use neat handwriting, and since this is my handwriting, it is neat, but sometimes you have to remind those students to form their letters from the top to the bottom. We never go from bottom up. Make sure you're hitting both the top and bottom lines. If you have handwriting lined paper, and make sure you have those tall giraffe letters that go up to the top, those short chicken letters that start on the middle dotted line, or even your little monkey letters that go below the lines. You always want to make sure that your students are following those guidelines when using their neat handwriting. And the very last thing of our rubric is my sentence makes sense. And this sentence does make sense, and so the student would get a sticker on their paper or a little stamp saying that they completed it and they followed their rubric. But sometimes their sentences don't make sense. Sometimes they're not real sure how to use words in sentences if they're new words, or sometimes they forget to put in little sight words in. And so you always want to make sure that they can read their sentence and know what it means. Like I've said, this rubric is just used so those students get a good foundation of writing, because as they get older and their writing gets more complex, if they don't have these basic things down, it's going to be a lot harder for them to learn. And so that's why we start them young, using those spaces, capital letters, making sure they make sense, making sure words are spelled correctly. And so that's why I like to use this rubric when we're doing handwriting.